too long ago, I took the ACT. And let me just say, waking up like it's school, driving to school, being at school while it's still not quite school is weird. But I got there, filled out everything, and I was out of there at around noon. And do you know what score I got? I got a 33. Just kidding, I got a 9. And it wasn't even the math, English, or reading that brought me down. And I mean way down. It was the question about race and the entire science section. My only real applicable options were black, white, and other. And since other sounds kind of offensive, I just picked one of the first two. All because there was no multiracial box or the ability to check more than one. However, according to the San Diego Public Radio on June 13, 2013, more than 7.5 million Americans identify as multiracial. Yet, there's no box for us to check. And seeing as every box we check will impact our entire futures, I'm addressing you, my fellow ACT preppers and test coordinators, so that we can take a better look at this other problem and ACT. We're going to A, acknowledge the causes, C, comprendemos the effects, and T, talk about some solutions to help us check our rightful boxes. Now, I know for a fact I'm not the only one who struggled with race on a standardized test, though I'm probably the only one who's received a 9, ever. There are two causes for this multiracial identity crisis. A New York Times article dated February 13, 2011 explains that the US government rejects multiracial boxes because when the lines of race and ethnicity are blurred, the data is harder to use. Now, these surveys are only allowing people to identify with their partial races, therefore making the data only partially true. Now, if they want some accurate data, they're going to need to start providing some real racial options. I mean, who's Pacific Islander anyway? However, we can't just blame the government. Okay, we can and we will, but not today. We ourselves are part of the cause. In August of 2013, UC Davis conducted an experiment where they had their participants have a list of races and were supposed to determine the race of their multiracial subject. And every experiment was the same. They only chose 1 out of 4 races because they never knew that multiracial was an option. Our obsession with these boxes causes us not to acknowledge the multiracial identity. And when your identity is not acknowledged, one feels misrepresented. It's like knowing in your heart that you're a Gryffindor, but got sorted into Hufflepuff. It's painful. Similar to the number of text messages Stacy has sent during my speech, we have 43 effects, Stacy. Stacy, this is why you're taking this class. This is why I'm taking this class. We actually have 2 effects. Poor test scores and the isolation of multiracial individuals. But first, standardized tests are hard. And with the added stress of having to decide, what race do I feel like today? It can create a taxing environment. The Educational Testing Services conducted an experiment where they had students take a standardized test. But in this experiment, the race question was at the end. Without the added stress, the multiracial students scored substantially higher than on conventional exams. You can kind of apply this idea to a drug test. When you put the drugs after the test, you pass. Take notes, Tyrone. Secondly, there is the isolation of multiracial individuals. Sarah Harvard, and CEO of Think Free organization, spoke in last October's issue of DL magazine of her struggle growing up multiracial. Her American peers didn't see her as American enough because of her multiracial identity. And her Japanese peers didn't see her as Japanese enough because of her American identity. And sadly, Harvard's not alone. Our peers find us too black, too white, too yellow, too green, too different. Okay, green's a little different, but most times that's a medical condition. Without our own group to identify with, and when our single race peers reject us, one can feel lost. And you should never feel like a bad TV show. Choosing to retake the ACT was not that hard of a choice. To be honest, it wasn't really a choice at all. It was the only way to make sure my abuelita didn't kick me out the will. Jorge gets it. So, solutions. In the 2000 US Census, it allowed its participants to check more than one box in the racial category. However, when it comes to standardized testing, ACT, we're severely lacking. In August 2nd, 2013, New York Times article states that within the next few years, there are plans to overhaul both the ACT and the SAT. This gives us the perfect opportunity as students and faculty to contact the ACT services and voice our opinions. However, it's not just the ACT. We ourselves need to acknowledge that there is such thing as a multiracial person. In May of 2013, Cheerios released an ad featuring an interracial couple and their biracial child. And the commercial rallied so much support from the multiracial community. Families were posting their own variation of the commercial, and it got people talking. However, Cheerios did receive a lot of backlash. The comment section was filled with nasty, hateful, racist, and frankly uneducated posts. Thankfully, Cheerios took down the comments, but kept the video. In the end, good or bad, people are acknowledging the existence of the multiracial community. Now, after this whole 9 debacle, I decided to retake the ACT. And I got the same score. But I was expecting the race question. I was not expecting to fall asleep. Twice. So now that we've seen the causes, effects, and solutions, hopefully we can apply some of this knowledge. Because according to the 2010 US Census, there are more than 5.4 million interracial marriages in America, which means the multiracial community ain't going nowhere. And I bet you guys are all wondering what I'm going to check this time, because let's face it, I'm going to have to take this again. Well, seeing as I am Black, white, Latina, and a little Native American, I think it's pretty obvious what box I'm checking. Native American. I'm trying to get into Harvard, and I'm going to need all the help I can get. But hopefully we can reach a point where these boxes won't even matter. But until then, I'm just me. And you can put that in your box and check it.